Welcome to the Wednesday Call Live. Now, let's hear it for our special guest host, Jake and Belle Crause.
Good morning, Alliance family. We are Jake and Belle Crause out of Puyallup, Washington. If you don't know where that is, that's okay. Most people don't. We're near Seattle, so you can just say Seattle like we do. And I'm just fired up to be on here. I love the Wednesday Call. It is our midweek boost. It's like that power up that you get to finish the week strong. And I feel blessed and honored to be here today with my wonderful husband, Jake. And so today we are going to talk to you about, of all things, relationships and how building relationships will build your life. And when you build your life, you build your business. It's kind of like a natural consequence of building those strong relationships. And so as just a little precursor before we get into it, I'm going to turn it over to Jake for a few minutes and just let him speak on what this has meant to us.
I tell you what, I am so grateful, and I know Belle and I are so grateful to be a part of the Alliance. It has absolutely changed our life in more ways than we'll ever be able to tell you on this video. It's just been absolutely incredible, from things like our income. Our income has shot through the roof since leaving the military. We've earned over $1 million just in the last 6 years. It's been incredible. The people that we've met, the time that we've got to spend with Andy on trips all around the country, all around the world. You know, I know Tim and Nicky, you'll be hearing from them here soon, you know, toasting champagne on the top of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, or a river cruise down the Seine River. And there's a lot of things that this business has brought to us that never would have even expected. You know, some of you may know this, but my mom, she became very ill and died back in December. She was fighting cancer for about 6 months. And the Alliance allowed us to be able to not only financially support that situation, but have the time to be able to sit down and take care of her. You know, I got the privilege of taking care of her all the way until her last moments, and the Alliance gave us that opportunity. You know, and all the relationships that we've built with people that we never would have met before, all of the thousands of clients that have been affected, you know, their families have been affected and improved by the products that we've been able to help them enroll in. And I say all of that because this topic today is about relationships. And all of that, I mean, our kids, think about our kids, like their legacy, the things that we're going to be leaving to them is beyond anything that we ever could have done without the Alliance. And all of that started from just a tiny little seed, okay? A tiny little seed. And it was really two parts. It was a relationship with a good friend of ours named Brandon Bulis, a person that I flew helicopters with in the Army. And it was a 5-minute conversation. That tiny little seed sprouted into a magnificent oak tree of change in our life. Just the amount of change that we've gone through personally, our marriage, everything sprung from that little tiny conversation. So what we want to do today is we want to make sure that everyone on this call knows that you have the power to change lives. You, every single one of you, because you're in the Alliance, you've got access to an amazing opportunity here. You never know whose life is going to be altered forever based on a small conversation that you might have and a relationship. You know, those relationships are really, I mean, the people that are going to be on this panel today are people that some had prior relationships with us and some didn't, but we made relationships with. So I'm extremely excited for this topic, and I think it's going to be great.
So when we talk about that, planting that seed, the relationship is what gave us the honor, the privilege, the opportunity to have that seed implanted in us about what's going on here. Had there not been a relationship first, that conversation would not have happened to plant that seed. And so when we talk about our relationships, we're talking about a network of people you know. And sometimes that word can have a negative connotation, but really a network is just a group of friends, family, coworkers, teammates, acquaintances that you have access to in your sphere of day-to-day life. That's what a network is. And when you are intentional with that network, it can sprout into oak trees throughout your life, in business, in family, in recreation. Sometimes you'll get to do some amazing things just because you knew the right person and was on their radar at the right time for an opportunity to go do something fun, to go experience something different, or to be together in business. So again, a good network is a balance in relationships where there's equality in there. There's give and take on both sides. And again, this is outside of business. And the best way to develop your relationships is to live your life. Just live your life. If you're thinking of someone, send them a quick text. Hey, thinking of you today. I have a network of ladies that I reach out to on a very regular basis, and I just send them these little encouraging graphics sometimes funny ones, because I'm thinking about them. And it just takes a moment, and that builds a bond. And then later on, when there's an opportunity to speak on other things more in depth, that door is open because the connection was already there. So the first two people we want to bring up are Tim and Nicky Long. They've been lifelong friends of ours for many years. We were neighbors out in Savannah, Georgia when we were stationed out there. And I think we've impacted each other's lives in alternating phases of life. When we were neighbors out there, their twins had just been born. And I had the honor and privilege of helping care for them when Tim was getting ready to deploy. And Tim was in a special operations aviation unit. And a conversation Tim had with Jake changed his military career.
That's right.
His military career forever. And so later, many years later, military life, we've moved on, gone to different places, those infant twins.
Real quick, Tim actually talked to me about joining that special operations unit, which I had never considered before because I didn't think they would take me. My confidence level was low, right? And Tim's like, look, you're who we're looking for, and so at least go out there and try out. But what that conversation, that tiny little conversation that we had that sparked me to join the 160th actually introduced me to the person who introduced us to the Alliance. So truly the seed was planted just in a day-to-day conversation back many, many years before we joined the Alliance, because the chain of events that happened, because Tim cared about relationships. And I'll tell you that Tim and Nicky both are the best people that I know at relationships. They make you feel special. They are, when I think of relationships, I honestly think of Tim and Nicky. They're amazing. But that little relationship seed that was planted led to the domino that fell that eventually, and Belle will talk more about that, brought Tim and Nicky into the business. It's
just those links in the chain, and they happen all throughout life, and they're not to be underestimated, because the right conversation with the right person at the right time can change everything. And so Tim and Nicky were foundational in changing our lives then, that led to another change in our life, that led to a Facebook post. And so, Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you and kind of let you take over for a few minutes from there.
Thank you, Jake, Belle. We love you guys. And we're excited to be here for sure. Tim and Nicky from Savannah, Georgia. And, I'm not on social media very often, still not, but I happened to be scrolling through one day and there was Jake, and I saw him on the back of Andy's jet. And I thought, what in the world are you doing? You're still active duty military flying, but you're in the back of a jet. So I sent him a message. I said, Jake, what are you doing? You're supposed to be in the front flying this thing. And so he sent me a message and said, hey, I'm, Belle and I are helping families, and, we, would love to talk to you about what we're doing. And if you're interested. And I was very happy with the business that we were running and really wasn't interested in anything else. Wasn't looking. And so what I appreciated was that he wasn't pushy about anything, but we did start a conversation. And he said, hey, I know how you and Nicky care about people, and this might be something that is right up your alley. And then he told me it was insurance. I said, heck no, I'm not interested. But he did give me a challenge, which I loved. And I love challenges. He said, I bet you can't get your insurance license in 10 days or less. And I said, well, okay. Challenge is on, challenge accepted. And so I did. I wanted to show him. And so I was very, very busy, but I got my license in 9 days. And he said, what's the worst that can happen? And so he was right. And the first day that I went out and helped a family, within just a couple of weeks after that, I knew that this was right for us, and definitely for me anyway. And here we are 4.5 years later, all thanks to a Facebook post and the conversation.
I love it. I love it. I love that we get to experience this life with friends that have just been there on our side. I mean, Nikki and I, military wives, husbands deployed in combat, we've had some conversations, y'all. We've had some tears, y'all. We've shared some stuff. And now here we get to share another level of stuff. And the beauty of relationships is that it all becomes intertwined. Like our kids are each other's friends. Their oldest and our oldest were best friends for years, that they were thick. I helped raise their babies when they were so little. I remember Nikki being so exhausted from twins and just like, I'll take them for a few hours so you can take a nap. That's the bond that we have. And I get goosebumps when I think about Nikki, an experience you had there in Treasure Island at an event that you came to with the Alliance. And so if you can just give a little bit of background of when Tim came on board and then what brought you fully to decide that, I want to participate too, not just be supportive, but participate.
Thanks, Belle. Thank you guys. We're just so happy to be here and working with you. I mean, who would have thought 13 years ago that we would, in the midst of poopy diapers, that we would be on top of the Eiffel Tower? Like, it's crazy. So thank you guys. We're so happy to be here. So Tim had been in the business. Well, we had been in the business for, 2 years. And I attended all the events, not because I had any interest in insurance, but the people were just amazing. And frankly, it was a way to kind of get a break out of the house. So we did. And right after COVID, there was an event in Treasure Island, Florida, that honestly, I really wasn't going to go because I just figured, nobody cares if I'm there. I'm not selling insurance. It's expensive to get childcare. So I went anyway. And that was when it was introduced that by Andy that we had just partnered with Integrity Marketing. And so Brian Adams, the CEO of Integrity Marketing, was there. And you would never know who he was because he's just the humblest guy ever. And we were on the rooftop pre-event having an evening with drinks and snacks in the top of a rooftop bar at night. And Andy was doing an introduction and some shout outs for Brandon and Ashley. And they came to the front to accept and shared with everybody for the first time some of the things that they had been going through and the struggles they had. And right as Andy took the mic back and they walked back to their places, Brian Adams just walked up, grabbed the mic from Andy and called Brandon and Ashley back to the front and said, "We need to pray for you." And I was like, what is happening right now? So at that moment, Brian Adams shared his testimony, shared his story, a lot of personal stuff, and just prayed over Brandon and Ashley. And when you look around the rooftop, there were hands raised everywhere. And it was at that moment that I decided that I wasn't going to be a bystander anymore. So
it's beautiful, Nikki. Beautiful. The relationships that we have, other people see them. So I love that it was Andy's relationship with Brian and Brian's open relationship with his faith, right? Because when people are around us and we're living authentic, real lives, like you said, we changed diapers together, we cried together. That's authentic and real, y'all. I don't know if it gets more real than that. But when you're living authentic, real lives and you're just doing things, it attracts attention. And people get a chance to look at that and they get a chance to decide, is this something that I want to be a part of? Is this person someone I want to get to know better? And when that happened for you, and you looked at that, did that bring out in you like, this is something I want to be more a part of? This is something I want to know better. What did that look like for you?
Tim and I, we had been a team, I suppose, but really I just kind of tried to stay off his back and let him work and take care of the household. but it just changed everything because now I had a different type of investment. And so I think that just made everything better. After a little while, you got to get used to working together and all that.
And you decided
That's a whole other topic.
That's
another TWC.
But you decided, hey, I was going to start working with Medicare, and
Right.
you were going to do something different than what I was doing, that we could work together, but me not tell you what to do, right?
Exactly. So that's where Medicare was great because he didn't know anything about it.
Perfect.
What I love about that story too is that we are in a company where people aren't afraid to be themselves. This is not your typical corporate sterile environment where, we have to abide by a certain, you can just come here and be yourself. And there's going to be people that aren't faith-based and there's going to be people that are faith-based. But if we just come here and live life together and be ourselves, and as long as we've got each other's back, and as long as we have each other's best interest at heart, and as long as we have our clients' best interest in heart, we're going to be able to change the world. We're going to be able to do great things because this company isn't all hung up on, everybody being cookie cutter. And I really love that. I would not be here if this was your typical corporate culture. No way. Never going to happen. So anyway, I love that had such an impact.
Love it. Thank you guys so much for being on here. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. And thank you for traveling the world with us. I just love it. I can't wait for our next adventure together. Our next panelist that I want to bring up, because when we're talking about, Jake just nailed it. We're all being real. Like there's nothing that's going on that is just like so cookie cutter or whatever. We're all living real lives as we go. And in the pursuit of living our lives, we have opportunities to touch the lives of others. And it starts in that inner ring, that circle that you know best. And then it goes out to another ring. And these are the people that you know, but you're not real close with. And then eventually it gets to a ring of people you don't really know them, but you see them in your day-to-day activities and you could get to know them. So one of the things I love is that we as military members, we have a history with a lot of other military members. And we can reach out, it seems like at any point in time, and just pick back up. Those bonds that were created, those times that were shared, sometimes the trauma that you go through together. I mean, it binds you for life. And that could be good, it could be bad. It's up to each person on how they decide to make that. And one of the other couples that we were blessed to serve alongside of in the military days were Mark and Nichole Burrows. And I knew Nichole before I knew Mark because the guys were deployed when I met Nichole. And I knew Nichole was a wonderful person that I could really get along with and be with, because she came on a road trip with me and my kids before she had kids. And if you want to talk about somebody who knows how to roll with the punches, anyone willing to take a road trip with a mom by herself with her young kids and they're going to be sidekick on there, that's somebody I want on my team. That's somebody who knows how to adjust fire and stay in the battle. So Nichole and I go back a ways, but I'm going to turn it over to Jake if you want to go ahead and just.
Well, I just want to say that, Mark and Nichole are extremely special to us. And I knew Mark from the military, like you had mentioned. We flew helicopters together. We deployed to do two different theaters of operation together for long periods of time. And I remember thinking about Mark as being one of the best instructor pilots that I had ever known in my life, in my whole military career. And in the world of military aviation, that's a big deal. Your instructor pilots are the ones who run the show. They run everything. They're called standardization pilots. And Mark was the best of the best that I knew in my whole military career. And I was personally really excited when he showed an interest in this company because, I had so much respect for Mark. But I remember one of the most traumatic days in my life was actually way worse for Mark. And this was, I remember we were flying missions over Iraq, and I remember hearing a radio call out that I'll never forget my entire life. And the radio came over and it said "Fallen Angel." And for those of you who are in military aviation, not many of you are probably, but that means that a helicopter has gone down behind enemy lines. And at the time I didn't know who it was, but it was one of the, hearing that phrase absolutely shattered me in that moment, because I knew that somebody was in a really bad situation. It turned out it was Mark. And, but his, I'm not going to go into that big story. He probably won't go into the story either, but his resiliency after that event, his ability to bounce back and to lead the rest of us after he went through something that was so traumatic, I gained so much more respect for him after that, because he just jumped right back into the fight and led the rest of us through the rest of that deployment. And anyway, Mark and Nichole, very special to us. And you had some questions for him, didn't you?
Yeah. So, Mark, if you just want to touch on how you got started here and kind of what your mindset was in the beginning and when it shifted and why it shifted.
Well, Mark and Nichole out of Colorado Springs. We're direct to Jake and Belle. We love all of you guys. And thank you so much for being so close to us. I mean, it's been like 17 years, I think, we've known each other. It's been a long time. So we really appreciate you guys. And Jake and I had kept in touch, like you said, off and on. But you reached out to me shortly after you started this, and I said, no, the time's not right. I'm doing fine, but whatever. And for whatever reason, we just reconnected a year or two later, and the time was right. And I said, hey, I'm looking for something different, so let's check it out. So went and did my license thing, even though I was flying EMS helicopters, medevac helicopters. So I said, yeah, I work week on, week off. I should be able to do this. Talking to Nichole, and she's like, yeah, I mean, you're always onto something new and exciting, so let's go. So, the interesting thing, though, is like, life happens, and a lot of stuff just came up just after I got my license, and I talked myself out. I said, I'm not going to do this. It's just too much. And so I was going to quit. And there was a hot spot where Andy came to here in Denver, and I wasn't going to go to it, but the last minute, Jake's like, hey, I'm coming to see you, buddy. And so I was like, shoot, Jake's coming, I got to go. So I went to that hot spot, and then I said, well, I'd already bought my tickets to NatCon. Or no, it was some weird event because of COVID. It was a special event we had in Burlington. So I said, well, I already bought my tickets. Right, Spring Summit. And so I said, well, I already bought my tickets. Jake, Belle believe in me, so I'm just going to go out of respect to them, and I'll quit after that. And I am forever grateful that I went to that event because it changed everything. Like Jake was actually, he's too humble to tell you, but after my shoot down, Jake was the first guy. We were already so stretched thin on pilots and flight hours. We had to go to see the doc like once a week to keep getting approval to fly. He was the first guy to stand up and say, hey, I'll take Mark's flights in addition to mine so that he can get some breaks. So that's the kind of person Jake is. And I'm telling you, the Alliance is full of people just like that. And that's what drew me to the Alliance in the first place. That I went to that first conference and my eyes were just thrown wide open. I was like, man, this is incredible. Like, everybody's here for each other. No questions asked. Like, all that stuff that happens in the outside world stays there. And, I just knew that anybody in the Alliance that had been here for any amount of time, I could leave my kids with them for a week, having not ever met them, and they'd be better for it when they came back home. And that's the kind of people the Alliance has. So I thank you for keeping me on track, and we got great goals and plans, and Nichole's got a part in this too now.
I love it. Mark, you got actually a little funny story. If you just take a minute and tell us that first impression when you walked through corporate headquarters and what was going on there when you saw, what was happening there, like the actual events and because Andy had some fun stuff planned. And that first impression, like I said, you've told that story before. If you want to touch on like the fun stuff that was happening at that particular time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there was a lot going on, and I really didn't want to be there in the first place. I just went because of you guys. And so I wasn't in the greatest of moods, and I didn't know what to expect. So I was just kind of there, didn't know anybody, and you guys are rock stars, everybody surrounding you. And I walked into people playing pool, shooting each other with Nerf guns, and I got shoved into a laser tag tournament with me and Jake and Brandon, some other military guys, up against some other people. I just remember Brandon Manley, and just going back and forth, who's Andy's son-in-law, if anybody doesn't know. I never met him before in my life, but it was like everybody was just so open. I just remember he was one of the first introduction I had to the Alliance, where we're just shooting each other and having fun. And afterwards, hands in the back and, hey, nice to meet you. And anything you need, call me. And he didn't have to do that, but that's just the kind of people that are in this organization.
I'd like to say something about that situation because, having known afterwards that you were getting ready to quit, but you just happened to come to that event and it kind of rekindled something, I think the importance of getting the folks that we bring onto this company connected with other people is vital. We can have a really strong personal relationship with someone, and sometimes it's not enough, but those little other connections that we have, like you met Brandon Manley, and then you got connected to Andy, and then you got connected to other people that were in the alliance, and you could see that they were winning also. And all of those little connections were enough to, I guess, hold you close long enough for you to get the business figured out and to get immersed in the culture. And so, sometimes I would just like to encourage people when you're bringing new folks on that you have a pre-existing relationship, introduce them to other people, get them connected get them on this TWC, get them on the activity call, all those little connection points, and especially the events, when you feel that electricity and you feel the actual love, you'll get it. They'll get it. Okay. So I think it's important to note that it's not just that single relationship. You got to get more relationships interconnected. Does that make sense?
I think that's totally true because it's building. Whether Mark decided to stay or not, he now has a connection with Brandon Manley. That day he connected with him. He connected with Andy Albright. And that is building that sphere of connections. When Jake first reached out, it wasn't the right time for Mark to come on board. But we still had relationship, and relationship creates the environment that is conducive to other things, other opportunities. Again, I'm going to point out a leisure opportunity that we had due to this connection. I mean, like out ATVing in the mountains of Colorado with our families, having new near-death experiences that we won't get into on this call. But if we ever have a meal with you at a national event, we will be happy to tell you those stories. But it opens up just those opportunities to live life fuller with the people you enjoy living life with. And speaking of enjoy living life with, beautiful Nichole there by your side. Nichole, if you just want to talk about, I guess, what you came to the family reunion back in, when was that, June? And what your experience was there. So I know we had a spa morning where you and Nicky got to meet for the first time. And then just all the events that were going on there. What did that do for you?
Well, hi, I'm Nichole. So Mark had already been in the business for, well, I guess us, but me, kind of like what Nicky said, kind of on the sideline, helping with the kids, taking care of things here, being supportive, but not being a part of the business directly. And honestly, not knowing very much about it. Supportive in whatever endeavor Mark takes on. And honestly, anything with Jake and Belle, we love and trust them. So they wouldn't lead us astray. I'm all about, supporting this opportunity, but I didn't know anything about it. So when the opportunity to go to Reno came along, we have two little boys, 11 and 9 years old, and we don't leave them very often. We don't have family here, babysitters. But we decided for me to understand more about the business and to meet all these people that Mark has been talking about so highly, I need to get there and I need to get involved and understand what's going on. So we flew my mom out here from New Jersey. A little scary. She stayed with the boys for 5 days. Our youngest son, Ashton, has autism. So he's, he has his moments. He could be a little bit of a handful. So we put our faith in grandma and we flew out to Reno. And I'm going to be honest, I was thinking, okay, we get some time away, so maybe for a little bit of a selfish reason, I was just happy to have that time with Mark away and not really thinking about the business part, but we get a hotel room and a bed to sleep in and no kids and some dinners out and we get to hang out with, Jake and Belle. But it turned into so much more than that. sitting in, listening to the speakers, meeting people. The energy was like, this is not an insurance conference. This is incredible. Like, just, just the energy and, the welcome that I got, because they knew Mark. Mark is a rock star. We love him. We're so happy to meet you. So just a really genuine connection with people that I didn't know, but made me feel like I was already a part of things. So yeah, Reno was great. I had a great time. I learned so much, that this is more than insurance. It's a family. It's an opportunity for our family to do more. So we got back from Reno, and I think I really surprised Mark, because I was like, well, I'm going to get licensed. What do you think about that? And he was like, what? So, so this summer, August, I got my life and health license. I feel like it was a little bit of a process, stay-at-home mom with kids and other things going on. But yeah, so I'm like, I'm all in. This is a great time in our lives where our kids are in school full time, and for the first time, and I could do something. I could contribute to the family and be a part of this. So for us, it was very much timing, and just having people that we love that supported us and, brought us on board. So.
That's beautiful. And to be clear, you were already contributing to the family well above and beyond before getting your license. Raising children, supporting our husbands and what they did, taking care of all the other stuff. That is a full-time job. And to step into this is just, it's icing on the cake that's an opportunity that we can share. But if you guys hear Tim and Nikki and Mark and Nichole, the other spouse, they needed the next level of relationship from others to truly see what could be done here. Sometimes we as spouses, we don't convey things the best way possible to the other person. Not in a bad way, not in a good way, not any way like that, but sometimes we just don't hear it the same way. So I love what Nichole said. Coming to that event was an opportunity for her and Mark to spend time together and to meet other friends. He wasn't taking her to an insurance conference, taking you to a board meeting, taking you to no, it's to an event where they could have some fun together as a couple. They could spend time with old friends. He could introduce her to some new friends he's making. It was fun. It was fun. And when you have those relationships, people want to come and do fun things with the people in your world. And so thank you both for being on here. Jake, did you have anything you want to add here?
I think it's exciting. I love working with you, us working together at a common goal, and to see, Mark was really focused on the alliance, and then to see both of you come alongside each other and now, have a common goal. I mean, that's to me, it was life-changing for Belle and I to have that common goal. And I think it's super exciting. You guys are going to be able to do so much together that it's exciting to see how that's unfolding. So
I want to leave Mark and Nichole on here because the next couple that we're going to bring up, we're talking about an inner core of people, and then you have the next layer of people that Well, this next couple is kind of a hybrid. Vic Lazama and Kaylin Reed. Jake and Mark both flew with Vic. They both knew Vic from their military days in different capacities, and Kaylin is his beautiful half there that none of us knew ahead of time. And I know Jake had reached out to Vic before, just living life. Hey, how are you doing? What's going on in your world? Vic is known in our circle as someone who is entrepreneurial, business-minded, smart, business savvy person. And then Mark reached out to him as well at different points in time. And so, Mark, if you just want to tell us a little bit about how it went when you reached out to Vic, and then Vic, if you could expound on that.
Well, I mean, Vic and I had gone back and forth, just little clips here and there, just saying hi once in a while, how you doing, whatever. And then we had actually gone on a Disney trip, took the kids, thanks Alliance for helping to fund that. And Vic had seen all the pictures, and he'd seen stuff that you guys were posting, we were posting, and he's like, wait a minute, what are you guys doing, and is it legal? Because I might want in. And so that just kind of started the conversation, and we were like, yeah, we're having a blast, and we just caught up and connected and talked, and it just kind of like grew wings from there.
So, Vic, when you and Mark connected over this, you guys had connection before, but when he was talking to you about what was going on here, what was it that piqued your interest? What was it that made you give this another look?
Seeing what you guys were doing, because like Mark said, when I looked at like a shift in lifestyle for you guys, which, we like to live we like to go out and have a good time and travel and what have you. And I was like, what is it you guys are doing? And like Mark says, is it legal? Because I don't care if it's not, I'll do it anyway. But in reality, I was looking for a shift in career opportunities. I was selling off my stores and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to doing something different. And it was actually both of y'all, both couples, that motivated me, because I reached out to Jake probably about a year ago. And I was like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I keep seeing your stuff on Facebook. I'm a little jealous. And then he was like, hey, let me know. And I was like, oh, we'll get back some other time. I really wasn't in the position then to really commit myself to something like this. And then when I talked to Mark, he was like, hey, you got 15 minutes? I'd like to talk to you and Kaylin. I'm like, Kaylin? I'm like, you know what? That'd be kind of a cool idea. And it took that the confidence you guys have, and because of our relationship in the past, it's friends building on friends. If you guys were total strangers, I would have been very reluctant. I'll be very honest, because it does sound too good to be true. And sometimes, true things are not that good, but it was because of our relationship in the past and knowing who you guys are and how you guys are. I mean, Belle, when I talked to you, I haven't seen you since 2011 in Savannah, and you were a whole different person. You've done a 180. You're so confident now, and you used to be so quiet. And I love that about you, because it shows how we grow and how we progress in our life. And how we're looking for something to look up to, and to wake up in the morning and be, grateful to be waking up to, and be excited about working. And I was losing that in my last career, was just the urgency and the desire and the motivation to wake up and to do a job. And now it's kind of funny. I like talking to people on the phone, even the ones that hang up on me. I'm like, oh, whatever. And I try to keep them on there, even I try to call them back and bother them back, but it's fun for me. It's really a good time, and I enjoy it a lot.
That's amazing. I love how, you talk about, the first conversation through timing wasn't right. But again, because there's that background, there's that relationship, there's still that connection, that it comes back around. Like, this opportunity is not going anywhere. Insurance has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's going to continue to be around for hundreds of years. The opportunity is not going anywhere. The difference is, are people in your sphere? Are they seeing what's happening in your life? Are you living a life that draws people in to get them to ask questions? And I love how you stated that, it was just seeing changes in people, because we do sell insurance here, but we're a personal development company that happens to sell insurance to pay the bills. Like, we want every person we come into contact to become the next level of themselves. And if you can spend your life pursuing that, the rest will happen. The rest will come. Business will come. If you're in your relationships trying to help the next person be the next better version of themselves, iron sharpens iron. The rest of the stuff will come. Thank you so much for that, Vic. I would like to ask Kaylin a question real quick. So, Kaylin, you are prior military, but you're not like old school aviation with this group of crazy guys here. That was that connection here. You have a different connection there. What was it that you saw? What was your perspective when this was going on?
So at the moment I was working, this is crazy. I was working at a mechanic shop, and I had 18 mechanics under me, all males, and it just was not the right fit for me. National Guard. It was a National Guard position at the time. And one night, Vic and I were sitting there, and Mark had called us up, and we were wondering what his change was in his lifestyle, because we saw that he just had spent 2 weeks at Disneyland, and we're like, who spends 2 weeks at Disneyland? Like, who does that? And I was like, who has the means to even do that, the flexibility in their lifestyle and their job? And so I was getting kind of intertwined with my position. I wasn't where I wanted to be. I wasn't traveling. I wasn't making the friendships. I had no camaraderie with anybody that I worked with, no personal relationships, nothing. And I found I didn't have a purpose where I was. And so coming on, I'm able to do what I enjoy to do. I love to talk to people. I love to travel. I love friendships. I'm finding my tribe here, and it's been so amazing. So
I love that. And again, it is the relationships, the quality of the people in your life, the intangibles. That's the word I'm looking for. It's like, it's not concrete. It's not, it's the intangibles, the things about each person that spark inside of them. Spark recognizes spark. When I first saw Kaylin, y'all, when I first saw her through Facebook, cause that's how we keep in touch in modern world, is through social media. She has spark. And even now I'm sure those watching it, they can see you have spark, and that spark draws people in. And because you have spark, and because it is, people are going to be curious about what it is that you're doing, because it doesn't really matter what it is. You're living a healthy, full life. And so many people are out there wanting that healthy, full life, that I know you're going to have a plethora of opportunity to talk to people and just share with them, this is how we're living a life. This is how we're doing it. And you guys are welcome to be a part of it. Anything that you want to add there, babe?
I just know that they're going to be successful. I think we were in Dallas together just a few days ago, and they drove down from Oklahoma. And I remember we showed up at the venue at the same time, and Vic hopped out of the truck. We hadn't seen each other in years, like physically in years. We'd been on Zooms together, and but I was like, "Where's Kaylin?" And he's like, "Oh, she's in the car. She's running an appointment on the drive from Oklahoma down to Dallas. She's running an appointment. She got her laptop out. She's writing the application. It was one of her first. I mean, it's only been a few so far because you guys just came into the business like just a hot minute ago. And she's literally writing the application on her phone, focused, and the clients are just eating out of her hand. Like, you guys are going to be amazing at this. And I know that is a predictor of success. When people this is kind of off topic, but when people look at obstacles and they think, how do I go around this obstacle? How do I go over this obstacle? How do I, destroy this obstacle? Not how is this obstacle stopping me? That's the type of people that are going to be successful here. And so we're excited that you're on the team, and so glad it took Mark and I both, but you know what? This is a good example too of really somebody who recruited themselves. They saw social media and they said, hey, what's going on? And I just want to tee Andy up next week, because Andy's going to be doing, or not next week, I mean on Friday, I think he's going to be talking a lot about how we can use social media to widen that influence, and even because it is all about relationships. The most important people in our business, a lot of times come from prior relationships, but you can build a relationships with somebody that you just met. In fact, we're going to talk to somebody here in just a minute who we had no prior relationship with, but we've now built a relationship with, and they're part of our family. And, that's exciting too. So anyway,
I love meeting you guys. My daughter calls it IRL, in real life. I think that's a gamer term. I'm not quite sure. But when we got to hang out and just associate, have fun, we were, playing golf together, top golf together, having a great time, reconnecting in person. And so I'm excited to travel the country with you guys. I'm excited to travel the world with you guys. Can't wait till we can see each other again, IRL, and just continue to build this life. Because y'all, we're building a life, and business is happening as we're building our lives. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We do want to bring up our next panelist here. Now, we were talking about those rings of a tree, right? And so sometimes there's people personally and have a history with, and then there's people you kind of have acquaintances with, and there's a connection there. And then you get to that outer ring. It's you knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. And that's how we met Susan. Susan Patchen is prior military, and she knew someone who knew someone who knew us. And I'm fired up to have Susan on here because she's pretty new, and y'all, she's coming to Ireland with us. She's
going to be hitting Ireland, certainly.
Way to New Zealand as well. So I love that it is the ripple effect of relationship. The people that we knew, that knew somebody that knew Susan, they're not in our business. They're not in our business. There are people we met through business. There are people we met through other channels, but they're no longer, they're not part of this business, but Susan is, because of that openness of relationship. So, Susan, if you want to tell us how you came to know What led you to Jake and I?
Well, first, I just want to say I'm resisting the urge to stand at parade rest for Susan right now. That's a term we had in the military where when you had an E9, a sergeant major, which is the highest enlisted rank that can be attained in the military, when they walk into a room, the whole room braces and goes to parade rest because, of their status and position. And I just want to let everyone on the call know that Susan is a retired sergeant major in the Army, which is a really big deal. And
she's a bad mama.
Not only that, she's a leader. She could probably chew you out and better than any person on the planet if you did something. But she's so sweet, and her clients absolutely love her. The rest of the team, she's such an encourager. That's a rare combination when you got somebody who's tough as nails, but also people just gravitate to, and people just. The Velvet Hammer. That's a great name.
We're now the Velvet Hammer.
Velvet Hammer. No, but so we're really blessed to have her in our business. And like Belle said, it was, just happens to be, we didn't know her before. But now we do, and we have a relationship, and our lives are better because of it. But Susan, if you could just maybe tell the story about how you came to know about the Alliance.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me on, having the faith in me to be on the panel. And God bless you both for the edification. I appreciate that. I met a person through my previous work. So after the Army, did a couple of things, working as an academic advisor. We had a great small group that we were working with, and then things kind of went sour. But one of the other people in the team was Lisa, and she's former Air Force. So we had that connection automatically. And we talked, and we both actually at about the same time became unhappy where we were. We were having a conversation about, well, what's next? And I said, well, I'm thinking about insurance. And she goes, really? Why? And I said, well, it's about 90% of the job searches that's coming back. So why not? So it's obviously a need that needs to be filled, and pretty good at stuff. I could probably do that. And she goes, well, that's what I used to do, right? And I said, no, we have never talked about that. She goes, yeah, I know these great people. They're Christians. They're prior military. They're awesome. You're really going to want to meet them. And I give them your number. I said, yeah, absolutely. And then Jake called. That's how we met.
That is so, it's so funny that, someone, it's like that relationship you had with Lisa, even though it was years later, I think that Lisa had actually worked with us. But when you happened to mention that you were interested in working in insurance, that, because of that relationship, we had never, we had a relationship with Lisa, even though the business really wasn't her thing. That's okay. By the way, this business is not for everyone. It will not be for everyone. And that's okay. We want the people who want to be here. And Lisa is amazing, but we kept good terms with Lisa. And so she was the first, she recommended us. I think that's so awesome that, that's how that played out. So not burned any bridges, and in fact, spoiler alert, Lisa's coming back, by the way. So, just that's awesome.
One of the things that I love about this is, again, it just reiterates, we're living life in relationship, and then business happens. If you're living your life for business and then expecting relationships to happen, it's backwards. People will feel used and abused in a situation like that. But if you're living your life in relationship, and then it's just an environment that's conducive. That's all it is. It's an environment that's conducive, that if someone wants to step into business with you, then they can. And if they don't, you're still in relationship. That's the biggest key. So when you're meeting new people, you're meeting them for the goal of, I want to get to know this person. I want to know what path they're on in life. I'm genuinely interested. And if there's anything I can do to help that person, great. But that's how we build a life, is through the network of people that we touch with ours. And then again, if business happens, great. That's wonderful. But it's not the sole goal. The sole goal is to help another human being on this journey achieve what they want to achieve in life. And Susan, I love that you are that ripple effect of, it goes from inner to a less intimate relationship to someone that we didn't know who now wants to come and know us, and vice versa. Andy says, find any reason to build a relationship with someone you want to have a relationship with. Right. And it could be for any reason. That person could just be exciting and have, maybe they work in an industry that you have hobbies in, or maybe they're just doing things that you want to be able to do. Just find a reason to build relationships, the icebreakers, and that makes all the difference.
Well, and Susan, I just want to give her a shout out. She has a friend that she met through getting massage, right? And now she's on board and coming to events. Can you tell us a little bit about Vanessa, or how you brought that up to her, and yeah, how'd that happen?
So yeah, Vanessa, I met through another friend, which is funny, who I've also talked to about this, but having that relationship, I was, new to the area, needed a massage therapist, asked somebody, and they said, yeah, Vanessa's great, go talk to her. Okay, so I got her. We became friends through that relationship. And then I was so excited, still am, and I still talk about it. I was so excited about the atmosphere of the Alliance that she is like, I'm getting older. I'm probably not going to do massage for very much longer. She'd already cut it back to part-time because it's physically demanding. And I said, you'd be really good at this. And guess what? You already have a client base. You already have warm leads. She's like, you're right. And her husband's kind of in the same kind of business. Financial management, also had his license before and is going to get relicensed. So pretty cool. The other side of that was I think she really was clinging to the fact that it was such a positive environment. And I told her, I said, I have never met anybody that's associated with this organization say anything negative about the organization or the people in it. I said, and that to me is everything. The fact that you can be open with your faith, you can be you. And that's what I was enjoying initially in my previous job. I said, when I can't be me, it's not the right fit. If I can be me, I know I can be successful because I am a good person. I love to help people. That is my passion. And so bringing the other people that want to help people on board is amazing. Melissa's the other side of that coin.
Mm-hmm.
She was prior military, and that was our bond. So similar to y'all, it was the right time. We reached out. So we'll see. A lot of fun.
I love it. I love that we get to continue that ripple effect of building people up, of traveling the world with those that we enjoy being around, of being in life and in community with people we enjoy and we have common ground with. And I think that's just a beautiful thing to be a part of. Thank you so much, Susan, for being on here. I appreciate your time this morning. And I'm looking forward to going to Ireland.
Me too.
We're going to get to know each other on a different level in Ireland.
Amen.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
That's awesome. I want to point out something Susan said about being herself. The Alliance is a place that it's been said that you can belong before you behave. And by that, we mean there's room for personal growth. We all can get better at being better people. But this is a place where you can come just as you are and get the tools that you need to learn to be the next level of yourself. And you can always be authentic here. And that's the first step of building strong relationships is be yourself. We're not looking for people to be fake. If you're concerned that someone won't like you, that's okay, because there's going to be people who wouldn't like the fake you too. So no matter which way you go, there's going to be people like something. So might as well be your authentic self. And that's one of the best ways to grow and maintain relationships is to be yourself. The next step to take is active listening. When you have people in your sphere of influence and you're checking in on them and you're getting to know them, that active listening of knowing when the time might be right to have that conversation again, of knowing, like I may have offered this before. And guys, that's the thing. We don't burn bridges. People don't stop being our friends just because they don't do this type of business. That's okay. But if you're actively involved in listening to those people in your core sphere and in that outer sphere, and you're hearing what's going on, sometimes the right encouragement at the right time opens an opportunity that could change their life forever, like it did for Jake and I. Like it did for Mark and Nichole and Tim and Nicky and the rest of Susan, everybody on this call. So that active listening goes a long way. And then, just keeping in touch with people. The lady there was someone who knew Lisa who knew Susan. We've stayed in touch with Lisa. We've stayed in touch with the other person in there, just staying in touch. And that can be simple as a text. A simple encouragement. I saw this thing and I thought of you, whatever that is, send that out. Our daughter was a good example of that. We went to a comedy club last night down in Portland. My son's favorite comedian was traveling from Australia and did a gig in Portland last night. We've had the tickets for months. And my daughter's autistic, and so social skills isn't her strong suit. But one of the beautiful things I loved about her was last night we're in there, and we're in a room full of very diverse people. This is Portland, Oregon, where there's very, very diverse people. And she had no problem walking up to total strangers saying, "Hey, I love your shirt," because it was something that resonated with her. There was a person there who had on this wild, like, makeup type of I can't even describe it, but she was awed by it, and she had no problem saying, "Hey, I really like what you did there." Like, she didn't have to identify what it was they did. She just knows she liked it. And then on the way out, there was a lady who was very well dressed, makeup beautifully done, and she was like, "Excuse me, ma'am, you look amazing," or "You look, I love your dress and I love your makeup. It's beautiful." And she was just putting herself out there, complimenting people, and the difference it made in the demeanor of those people. Like, they just brightened up. Y'all, we're in a world of people who are starved for positive attention. They are starved for positive reinforcement. They are starved for connection, true connection on good things. People are quick to criticize in this world, but to be the one to be able to keep in touch and reach out in a positive way. Now, you think if my daughter had asked them a question after saying, "I like your shirt," right? Where'd you get it? Like, that's right there, connection, opportunity to broaden a network. And we get to pick. We get to pick who we want to broaden our network with. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, the books you read, the audios you listen to, those sort of things. You get to pick who you can intentionally seek relationship with. And that proximity is power. You get to choose to put yourself in opportunities to be around people that you want to connect with. So, Jake, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that.
I just want to bring people back to, everyone on this call has the power to change lives. You see all the people that we've talked to today and how, our lives have changed and how their lives are changing, and the impact that's being felt all across, not just our families, but the people we know and all the experiences that we're having. It came from that simple seed of a relationship and a 5-minute conversation. So everyone on here has the power to change lives starting today. You can start reaching out to the people that you know. You can start just building stronger relationships with people, not necessarily to recruit them, but just to be connected to them so that maybe you can help them in some way in the future, and that leads to, just an incredible life. So
incredible life.
Yeah.
Life and life more abundant. You guys, our time is up here on the TWC. I would encourage everyone, if you don't have your national convention ticket for January, we talked about how being in a relationship, you get to go hang out with all the fun people. You can do that in Dallas in January, January 13th through 15th. Tickets are on the events section of the ARC page. Get with your manager if you need assistance on how to get your ticket. And then also tune in to tomorrow's product call and then Friday's activity call. Andy Albright is going to lay it out on how to broaden that network, how you can build your sphere of influence in life. So thank y'all. Love y'all. Hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.